So thank you very much for joining me. My name is Jim Barr with Seekers Media, aka Snow Seekers. For those of you that have seen us in the past, obviously Snow Seekers is specific to working with the ski industry and making sure that you're busier than ever. I'm joined by Cynthia from Canada West Ski Areas. Good morning, Cynthia.
Let's try this. Hey, Jim, can you hear me now?
Awesome. You're on.
Oh, it's Cynthia here from Canada West.
Awesome, Cynthia. So we're pleased to join forces today to walk through some tips and tricks in setting the stage for success this season. As you were just watching there with that Apple announcement, there's no question that our world continues to change at a pace that's like never before. And certainly for us as those that are in the ski business, working to draw attention and interest from those that are existing skiers, but also working together in order to devise strategies and content and working together to bring more skiers to the slopes. So I know Cynthia has some great wisdom to pass along this morning, as I do. So we're just going to dive right into this. In terms of our objective today, it's obviously about how to make the most of your marketing efforts this season. We've got some tips for you and some adjustments that you could look at making around your communications and marketing approach with how to better connect with audiences and obviously drive that bottom line in a good way in terms of making some additional revenue this season. We've got a checklist for you at the end in terms of a summary to this webinar. And we've also got, as mentioned, this presentation being recorded so that those of us who couldn't join today in the live event would be able to join later on. And just a note, by the end of this week, you can check into the members section of the Canada West Ski Area site, and you'll find a whole bunch of links and details summarizing some of the specifics that we talked on today. So without further ado, I wanted to just give you some insights on this. And before I do that, though, I just want you to meet Brooke. And this is a family based out of Edmonton who is doing what a lot of families do this time of the year. They start to think about what are they going to be into in terms of the fall and into winter. And so in this example, Brooke's just at the park one day with her family, and they're playing on a swing set, and she starts looking through Facebook, like so many of us are doing. And she stumbles across some interesting posts and pictures and content about the Northern Lights up in Fort McMurray, and thinks to herself, man, that would be such a really interesting trip for my family to take. And the next thing you know, she starts doing a bit more homework, and she stumbles upon the YouTube channel for Travel Alberta, and she watches this Northern Lights video. So now she's gone from a Facebook post with a couple of pictures to a video, and now she's really intrigued in terms of the opportunity that might exist in taking her family to experience the Northern Lights. And the next thing you know, she's doing her homework on the Fort McMurray website, and she's doing some more discovery about what it means to drive up to a place like Fort McMurray and take in these Northern Lights. She's now starting to do research in terms of where they would stay, how they would get there, all those other details. And it all started with just a simple glimpse on Facebook and some pictures that fell across her feed. So I want to just lay that out as the ground in terms of thinking about how and what this applies to you and how it's applicable as a small or medium or even a large ski hill now, in terms of how people are discovering your experiences, how people are getting engaged with what you have to offer and ultimately what you have to sell. Now, for those of you that joined us at the Canada West Ski Areas Conference this past May in Lake Louise, you would have been introduced to Lois. So now bringing this home in terms of from a ski perspective, Lois was a skier based in Alberta who was looking at the whole concept about getting into the sport. She was not a skier yet. And she was thinking about the sport and starting to do what just with that introduction to Brooke, she's doing her homework. She's on her phone. She's looking through social media channels. She's trying to discover what this sport skiing is all about. And she's looking for content. She's looking for photos. She's looking for videos. She's looking for stories. She finds maybe a YouTube video. She maybe reads a story on a site like Snow Seekers, a story that reads to her demographic, this maybe an older middle-aged lady who's now looking at maybe picking up a new sport in her life and reads this story or watches the video and sees that people aren't dying or breaking legs and it's a sport that she might like to try. And the next thing you know, she's continuing to go along this journey and stumbles upon the Go Ski Alberta website. Now this whole concept around never ever days. And the next thing you know, we as an industry have birthed another skier, and that then let's hear Lois that she's taken this great program, and it all started with that content and with that social media interaction. So in terms of setting the stage for success and what to think about this season and some of the ideas, here we are in the middle of September, ultimately giving you and your team time to take some of these considerations and put them to use. So my name is Jim, as mentioned, the CEO for Seekers Media and founder of Snow Seekers. Cynthia has introduced us with us as well from Communications and Marketing within Canada West Ski Areas Association. And obviously there'll be time for you at the end in terms of any questions and comments that you might have to add into this conversation. And so me, just a bit more background, again, a founder of Snow Seekers, but also other outlets, including Festival and Zen Seekers. We now connect with audiences across the world around experiences here in Western Canada. And it all started after a failed career in university where I was a big fan of analytics and numbers and started to work to prove 1 + 1 = 2 over 3 pages of math, and then got into something a little bit more creative. So you'll find me on Twitter at DocPow, and certainly, a big way in order to obviously drive your interest in opportunities that you're promoting at your experiences and your destination is to reach out on social media to folks like me, folks like Powder Matt, Après Wheeler. There's a lot of us out there that are there working in order to carry your information and promote your destination. So, obviously engage with us, jump on social media and send us your updates so that we can continue to promote what you're doing. So again, those of you that were in the room for Lake Louise and the Canada West Ski Areas Conference and the symposium or the conference presentation that we put on, you'll remember this whole idea of the State of the Union, and just watching that Apple event before the start of this webinar today, we've seen this constant growth in smartphone use. And so the screen's getting smaller. So how do us, as those that are looking to drive attention within our ski resort or promote our opportunities, how do we drive more interest and eyeballs to our content? We'll talk about that today. There's obviously more people connected to ever. There's really some good signs out there, in terms of us with this digital adoption, but also using that as a tool for inspiration. This was on a cover of National Geographic recently about these selfie generation getting outside and back to nature. Again, just a repeat to what we talked about in May, but real quick in terms of the trends and what's happening in digital in North America. In red is forecast for 2018, where people are now spending upwards of 4 hours a day on their smartphone device. You can see here, if we remember Lois or Brooke and their journey and how Lois discovered Never Ever Day program, or in Brooke's example with taking her family to see the Northern Lights in Fort McMurray, those were engagements that were created off social media. So this graph just shows in terms of how people are getting to your website, and it's not so much searching how to ski in Alberta, it's more about the fact that they're thumbing through Facebook and are getting introduced to the idea. So remember those folks that are out there, those are your customers, those are maybe your new customers or your current customers, and that's where they're looking. They're looking on that feed on Facebook or on Twitter or Instagram or otherwise for your content. So how can you be present? This mobile moment that's happening as we're all living through right now, really as of 2014, this whole idea of this smartphone thing just took off. And now, as you can appreciate, looking into your restaurants and looking into your day lodges and on the slopes, when people are on the chairlift, they're staring into these devices more than ever. You now see just over 2,000 million devices on the planet. So we talked about in May, we talked about at the Lake Louise conference, the idea of a selfie station. It's not about Kodak moments anymore, it's these Instagram moments. So here's an example of a ski hill, Ski Bradford on the in New Hampshire on the east coast of the United States. They've built out a selfie station. So I'm sure you have some signage connections because we all have signage on our mountains. So why can't you challenge your signage guys, or why can't you look at building a selfie station on your mountain and doing that in the next 6 weeks? Putting that at the summit, putting it in a location where there's an epic backdrop. If you don't have the opportunity to put it on a summit or the top of your hill, maybe it's at the base of your hill with your logo conveniently in the back right corner. Think about how you would set up something like a selfie station in order to encourage audiences to start generating content about you and about your efforts. You'll note on this poster as well what this Ski Bradford does, and we'll talk about this in a few. They're using a hashtag, and we'll talk about the importance of that in a bit. But if you haven't already positioned your destination or your resort or your ski hill with a hashtag, We're going to challenge you to do that in this conversation today, because again, it's moving from Kodak moments to Instagram ones. We're going to challenge and we want you to think about time per T. It's engaging with your superheroes. We know that we're all taxed. We know that time is of the essence. We know that we're all mostly stuck in front of a desk. Those of us that are running these ski hills. We know that time is a very short supply. So looking at your network and starting to think about how can you activate your season's pass holders? How can you activate your team in terms of your staff? How can you activate people within your community, like media or other influencers, people who have interest or characters within the community? How do you get them out to your ski resort? It's easy. They're already there for those season's pass holders or members of your team. Now, how do you start to activate their interest in promoting you and generating content? So we have this concept now that's developing, these whole social media ambassadors and allowing these locals to help tell your story. We've taken it one step further with an organization called Hootsuite that we'll introduce more in a bit. And we've created this whole ambassadors network, a whole team of folks that are across Alberta and BC that are generating content to help us promote you as a community and as a destination and your experiences. So again, thinking back in terms of your own community and your own sort of network appeal, how can you start to arm your team and excite your season's pass holders to generate content? Maybe it's something like a selfie station. Maybe it's something like introducing a hashtag. All of those pieces of information are key to success moving forward. This social media isn't going away. It's not like, unfortunately, the clock's not turning back to 1984 here in 1995 where this stuff didn't exist. It's only becoming more prevalent. It's only gaining more momentum, and it's only becoming a more critical piece to your success, because if you're not playing in these channels and committing to them on a regular basis, the content strategy and devising that content that's going out there, well, you're going to get forgotten about, because again, people are looking for you on these channels. And I'm certainly not saying, we're certainly not promoting for any of us that we have to be on all 4 or 5 of these channels when we don't even have Snapchat up in here, but obviously Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and others. We're not saying that you need to be on all of these channels. We get it. You're a small or medium resort with limited resources, but pick 2 or 3, pick one if you just commit to Facebook, or just commit to Instagram, or just commit to Twitter, and then build up from there as you continue to build that stable of relevance and that stable of understanding. So for us at Seekers, and doing this now for almost 10 years, it's really been specific to generating snackable, shareable content. How do you help your audience? How do you help someone like Lois who's seeking the opportunity to come skiing at your destination? How do you help her in order to make it timely? How do you make that appeal helpful and relevant, breaking down those barriers so that we can attract more people to the sport that we all love, while at the same time making your bottom line look that much better? So again, it's that whole idea of content being key, and obviously generating content that is timely, relevant, and helpful, with the understanding that we're all busy. So some other concepts that we want to think about is in that sense of being helpful. Does your site offer direct dial? Again, there's a massive situation now that's occurred. There are more people accessing the internet on their phones than on desktops. So there's more people who are now searching for your community, for your experiences, for what you have to sell, for the packaging that you have to offer, for the experience, the events that you're promoting. There are more people now accessing the internet on the phone than they are at a desktop or at a laptop. So think about that for a second. When's the last time that you've taken your site? When's the last time that you've looked on your website on your phone? Can I call directly from your phone? If I go into the contact section on your website on my phone, can I direct dial you? If I can't, that's not being very helpful. Do you offer a site? Do you offer a map? Do you offer directions on how to get there? Is there a Google map embed right in your website that people can access and just click on? And the next thing you know, they jump into Google Directions or Google Maps, and they have someone voice talk through on how to actually get to your destination. So think about how you can be helpful in this example here with Destination BC. They have a Call Now button. That Call Now button immediately connects me to, in this example, this festival but in your example would be specifically to your ski resort, of course, or to your destination. Here with CMH on the Travel Alberta website, CMH, the heli skiing, you make it super easy. All you got to do is just click on that green 403762 number, and the next thing you know, you're dialing and you're connecting through. So again, checking your website and making sure that you're helpful is a really top tip right now, because again, there are so many people who are looking to call you or are looking to get to your place. But if you're not making it easy for them to do so, then it's a challenge. Is your site being relevant right now? Do you offer amenity listings? Is there partnership opportunities with the local hotels? Are you thinking and talking with them about ski and stay packages? There's no question within Destination BC and or Travel Alberta, those of you that are from tourism, if you are in the Saskatchewan, Manitoba, even in the north, I mean, if there's any partners that are on the line from Yukon and Northwest Territories, make it easy for the reps and these organizations like Travel Alberta and Destination BC to sell you. Make sure that you're working collaboratively and having not only amenity listings on your site, but also partnerships with hotels or places where people can stay that are close to you and have a ski and stay package. That package is everything, because then you can provide that out to the community, you can provide that out to Travel Alberta or Destination BC, and they'll help you promote it. They need opportunities, especially in the wintertime. There's lots of stuff going on in the summer, but we as an industry for ski in the winter have a unique experience, a unique opportunity, because we can package with something that a lot of people are looking for. So again, I challenge you to take a look at your website from your phone and do a test drive of it. Two things that you want to test drive. Are we offering directions with a map, and or are we offering direct dial? Those are two critical components. Also, is your web page mobile friendly? A quick tip that we laid out in May in Lake Louise was this whole Google Page Speed Insights. You can go to Page Speed Insights, just Google it up, and it'll tell you whether your site's mobile friendly or not. And how do you fund these things? Again, we're small. We don't have a lot of resources. How do we make these things happen? So, when's the last time you've booked an appointment with your Community Futures office for your community? When's the last time you've challenged them to talk about how they can help as an entrepreneur and as your community and your destination? How can they help you? There's funding available. Have you thought about, and those of us that are in Northern Alberta or out of Edmonton, we thought about a local partnership with, say, example like NAIT, or those of us in BC with maybe a Thompson Rivers University in Kamloops, or even Selkirk College that's teaching these things in Nelson. Have we thought about Vancouver and BCIT, or Vancouver at SAIT? There's lots of students out there that are looking for experience. Maybe they can help you. Maybe those programs at example NAIT with their digital media program, they might look at taking you on as a capstone project and building you a website for free. That's right, free. That's mobile responsive, meaning that it will work on phones and tablets and websites. It's just a matter of booking a call. At Seekers in the development over the last 10 years, we've received grants from the Information and Communications Technology Council, the ICTC. Look them up. They've got up to $10,000 that you can apply for a technology grant. And we're like a for-profit business. So those that for-profit businesses, you can still achieve some of this. Yeah, there's a bit of paperwork involved, but delegate it out and see where you can source out some further opportunities. And I challenge you to source your tribe. You've got a seasons pass holder list. There's people on there that you've seen through the seasons that have really been active on Facebook or really been active on Instagram when they're at your location. How do you empower those people and just have a tea with them or a coffee and just say, hey, we want to work with you this year. Do you mind sharing us some of that content while you're out there on our slopes, and we'll either give you a deal on your pass or give you another one, 2 for 1, or whatever you want to do, and figure out a deal and doing some content swapping. Because again, it's about that, how to activate and how do we continue to grow our sport and connect with more people like Lovis. And it's through content and using social media to get that content out there that you'll win. So let's talk about, and those of us that were in that room with the power of collaboration and with Christian, he did a great job in summarizing, some of the things that they've been up to up at James and Terrace, BC, and how they've worked together. And we heard from Karen Ward during that same conference. If you want to do something, excuse me, just 1 second, because I'm going to have to flip out here. If you want to do something quick, do it yourself. But if you want to do something that's going to last, then partner. And so think about those community connections. You can't be on an island of one. You've got a lot of people out there that are very interested in your organization and what you offer as experiences. So get those passes flowing and pass them out to your city councilors, pass them out to your media. Make sure that people are looking to collaborate with you, because it's about, the local shopping opportunities and those amenities that are close. It's about maybe doing some contra with local businesses. When's the last time you've talked to a really popular restaurant in town and see if you can make tent cards that go in the restaurant, or maybe a sticker on their menu that promotes what you're offering in exchange for some lift tickets for their staff so that they can come up and ski, which ultimately they're the servers. They're the ones that are connecting with those people in the restaurant. So now they're promoting people to come up and visit you. What about supporting those community organizations? What about when's the last time you had a conversation with a local gym, or maybe you've got a YMCA or a rec center within your community? Have you had a chance to talk to them about putting up posters in their lobby, or maybe including some digital information and providing them with a content package every Thursday that gives them a run through of your latest snow conditions, your special events, and again, doing that in exchange for some lift tickets. And then engaging with your community, passes to people who matter. Again, those journalists, those media outlets, the radio hosts, folks that are behind the counter at the community center, folks like your town councilors and city councilors. You want them up on your slopes, because then that helps you engage conversation and have them promote you. And, or who knows, maybe there's a rock to turn that they can all of a sudden throw you some bucks towards putting in a new lift or putting in some new infrastructure, because they see you as that community champion, allowing for what we do, which is great winter recreation potentials and keeping people healthy and in shape. And of course, the key takeaways that Christian spoke on at the Lake Louise conference was that power of collaboration, engaging your community, and that it all gives you a louder voice and an increased reach, while at the same time, who knows, you can leverage some costs. So let's bring Cynthia in, just in terms of talking with some opportunities around industry collaboration and sort of some of the things that you're up to at the association and otherwise. Cynthia.
Yeah, everyone. So what's really fantastic here, of course, now my screen shuts down. Okay, I'm back. Is that we've got over 20 ski areas on the phone right now, or people that work with the ski areas. And we've talked about collaboration within your community, but a big focus for Canada West this year is collaboration within the industry, and supporting one another and learning from one another. And some of you have the opportunity to get to our conferences and our fall meetings that are coming up later this month. But we really wanted to bring together marketing specific folks on the phone, and many of you that aren't able to get to these conferences, to share some of these ideas. So we want to work together as a united front, and there's lots of great resources that we can all kind of go to and use from each other. Another huge priority for Canada West this year and for several years to come will be focusing on developing more skiers and riders, getting the new people into the sport. And this really is so important for all ski areas, from community, smaller ski areas, to the volunteer run hills, to the destination resorts. Without generating more skiers and riders, our industry will fade over time. And so to bring together resources and opportunities to work together and let, as an industry, get more skiers and riders out there, it's just going to benefit us all. We're going to speak a little bit more to aligning our messages, doing some of the common practices, and later I have some resources to share with you guys. So let's do the next slide. There we go. So just in terms of the new skiers and riders, a couple things that I am working on this year with various different committees and involvement from ski areas and other associations are things like schools. The school ski trips are big programs that on bringing back to popularity. They've been struggling a lot. We have a great video that we're developing right now to help share with schools, ski officials, and from school districts, parents even. The Riglet program, that's a school in the gym snowboarding program aimed at grades 1, 2, and even up to 3. That's a great opportunity to introduce our snow sports into the school without actually making the trips. Never Ever Days was launched last year. There's a lot more tools and growth to that program that we're going to be happening this year to make it even better and more user-friendly for the ski areas as well as for participants. Go Ski Alberta is a great program that within Alberta for all ski areas in Alberta that focuses on developing new skiers and riders. And the grade 4-5 snowpass program has been in existence for a really long time, giving a great deal for 2 years to grade 4 and 5 students to ski at most ski areas. So if you're not involved with any of these programs, if you are interested with these programs, there are so many great tools, so many great opportunities. And one thing that I'll speak to a little bit more is templates and how we can kind of make it easy for you. So Never Ever Days, Go Ski Alberta, grade 4-5 snowpass. There is materials out there already or new ones we're developing this year to make it so easy for you to be able to share with your potential skiers and riders in your community and get the word out. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that, yeah, we have lots of great programs industry-wide, but it's really, I think, so important to develop what you want your new skier experience to be. And I specifically want to, focus on the word experience. It isn't just about strapping on skis, turning left and right, and learning how to stop. There's a greater experience to that, and I think each one of you have something unique about your ski area, something that's really, really important. Maybe it's something to do with the après experience. Maybe it is small lesson sizes, really one-on-one. Maybe it is something specific for seniors or something for tots or something for a specific demographic or group that really will engage your community, that maybe works within your community. So think about what that is and really try and focus on developing materials and opportunities to spread the word on that.
And I would jump in there. Go ahead, Cynthia.
No, go on. Yep.
I was just going to jump in there in terms of who knows, you might be working on creating the next Never Ever Days. So one of the other pieces in terms of the investment in that new skier experience, continue to work through, if you're having a ski night or a movie night or you're developed a club or you've got some fun racing group that you've really been active in and you've been developing, or as Cynthia mentions, a new approach to a particular demographic and how you're attracting them to the slopes, speak up, share that with Cynthia, get that in the next newsletter, get that out there so that the rest of the group, the rest of your colleagues, the rest of the industry can learn from you in terms of these successes that you're having and making these attractions or making these experiences. Because again, the Never Ever Days is a prime example. I mean, that was birthed on the slopes of Whistler Blackcomb, and now it's expanded into a national program. So how proud and honored would you be if your experience turned into the next Never Ever Days and went national? So again, be supportive of the industry and obviously continue to invest and take advantage of these programs that the association is offering, while at the same time make sure that you're keeping in the loop and keeping Cynthia and others informed in what you're investing in and what's winning for you, because that might be a new model that many others could benefit from as well. So again, we go back to this slide about collaborating and building the resources. Have a sit down with your economic development officer for your community. Get passes out to your town council. Make sure that you're keeping Travel Alberta, Destination British Columbia. Make sure you've got those regional connections and that you're keeping them up to date in latest packaging offerings. I know, Cynthia, I'm going to pop back to you for a second just with this partnership with TechSoup and the potentials there.
Yeah, so this was brought to my attention earlier this summer. If you are a nonprofit, this is a great opportunity for you. Jocelyn, I think, is on the phone, and I think you guys, did you guys go and try for the tech soup? I'm not sure if you're on audio or not. I think there was a few out there that, or sorry, maybe it was.
Yeah, it wasn't us at Rabbit Hill, but I've used TechSoup through other organizations, and it's worth looking into.
Yeah, for sure. There's a few people on the phone here that that we have spoken about it that are nonprofits. Essentially, with TechSoup, they are an organization that classifies you as a nonprofit, and so you have to go through. Nothing is necessarily getting money is usually not easy. They do have a lot of things that you have to go through. So with TechSoup, they are going to classify you as a nonprofit. And then once you get approved there, then with your nonprofit status papers and everything, then you can start applying for additional things. And one of them is Google Grants. And Google Grants for nonprofits will give you, I believe, up to $10,000 per month in Google advertising, and specifically for Google AdWords. One caution is that I have applied for the Google grant through Canada West, as Canada West is a nonprofit. However, we don't do public-facing programs. So what I was trying to do was do it for Go Ski Alberta. Go Ski Alberta is just a brand. So unfortunately, you can't link a different brand with an application under the actual nonprofit status company from a different name. So there are a lot of things, and I'm trying to find various loopholes. But if you are successful in getting a TechSoup Google grant, I'd love to hear from you, because I think look into this. Let's get this dialogue going and share some great opportunities with the rest of the group and how we can get some of this funding. I mean, it's a great way to get your brand out there.
Awesome. And Cynthia, you bring up a good point in terms of the efforts that's required in order to get access to some of this funding. You know, we know that there's paperwork involved. We know that there's time that someone has to dedicate. So again, look internally. You've all got some superstars that are in your wings, whether they've, you know, again, seasons pass holders that have percolated to the top, staff that you've worked with in the past, who you could see delegating the responsibility of doing the paperwork and getting things going for these types of opportunities, the trusts. And, you know, this Northern Development Trust, for example, for those that are in the northern part of British Columbia, is another great outlet. They have programmings in place. And there you go. So again, just collaborations. Now, again, just a quick summary, and we'll keep this moving here in terms of some did you knows or some different details. This one here is from Stephanie O'Brien with Mount Baldy in terms of their success in reopening their ski hill this season. You know, automation of content. Travel Alberta and Destination BC, the whole idea of generating content, it's not cheap. We know that. So how do you find ways in order to start building out more opportunities for your audience to be sharing content? And so we challenge you with that whole concept, like we talked earlier about hashtag ski Brantford there with the selfie station. Do you have a hashtag? If you don't, it's time to get one. And what that means is it's just something that you're using as part of your social media outlook and your strategy, but then you're also including it. Maybe you're putting it on the bill in your receipt. Maybe you're including it on your lift ticket when you're printing them. You're posting it on signage. You're making it very easy. And don't forget to be helpful, timely, and relevant so that your crowd can share their comments and their stories with you so that you can pick up that information later. Think of a hashtag like the Dewey Decimal System in a library. Remember back in the day when we actually went to a library to look up information instead of Google? Well, when we were trying to find that book about speaking Spanish or about learning to ski, we would obviously be looking according to at 926.42, and then we'd go to that row and we'd find that information. A hashtag similar, it catalogs information so that people can look it up at a later time, and or you can pull content from there and start sharing it to help bring down your content investments. So I'll give you a quick idea. You know, if you go into Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook right now and search the hashtag Ski North BC from this campaign we've been working on up in the north with a collection of partners, you're going to find a whole bunch of content that's there to now, for the ever in time, to inspire and engage and obviously stoke the fire of an audience to get up to ski in this region of the world. So again, a hashtag investment can really help you, and just pick one hashtag. And if you wanted some advice on a hashtag, go explore / your ski hill. So if you're explore Rabbit Hill, if you're explore Marmot, or if you're explore Pine Valley, or if you're explore Hidden Ridge or Hidden Valley, that's good. The reason I say that and the reason we suggest it is because if you look at what the popular tags are for Explore Alberta and Explore BC, you're swimming upstream, not downstream. So just go with an Explore and then the name of your ski hill, and that follows suit with the rest of what is going out there in terms of the Explore Alberta, Explore BC. So there's theme days. If you again can continue to invest in looking at what's going on, this will help you start to think about a content strategy. Maybe this is something you're delegating to your team, but obviously having a content approach and what you want to do and what you want to say through the season is really important. And some of these things like Throwback Thursday or Travel Tuesday might be that you're putting out a travel tip, or you're putting out a destination tip about your experience every Tuesday, and maybe you're doing something about the history of your ski hill every Thursday. It just starts to make things easy in terms of devising your strategy. And so in terms of that strategy and that messaging, let's bring Cynthia back in just to talk about, what some of these, the messaging and some of the hashtags that are popular that you can use, Cynthia.
Yeah, so again, this kind of goes back to working together as an industry. And so I think there's all different sorts of levels that you can go to. And as on one of the earlier screens, I mean, there's, especially on, Facebook, you don't want to be putting 12 hashtags, but, picking out some of the good ones. And here's a snapshot of some of them. So provincially, BC, Alberta each has a travel one as well as a ski one. So we've got Ski BC and Explore BC. Alberta, we've got Explore Alberta, and we're actually going for a new hashtag for Alberta. We haven't really had a consistent one, so we're going with that Go Ski Alberta brand, taking that one and trying to connect that with all the skiers in Alberta. Regionally, there's things like Powder Highway and Ski North BC. So I'm sure you have a regional brand. It might fit in with those strategies. And then there's programs. So we have Never Ever Days. Within the Never Ever Days, they also had a hashtag for Snow Forever. On Go Ski Alberta, we have a hashtag for Snow Proud in terms of having some conversations around love for skiing and whatnot. So, look in your community. The other thing is by hashtagging, Travel Alberta or Destination BC's hashtag or your regional tourism agency, then they're also going to be seeing that more and sharing that more. So, also look at where the community that you're at, and hopefully your community, your local DMO or regional DMO will catch wind of your posts and begin sharing them. So, it's all about creating more followers and more interest in skiing and snowboarding in Canada. So we all can work together on building our brand, and skiing and snowboarding is a brand.
Nice one, Cynthia. Just to your point there about using hashtags relevant to your region. So don't wait for the chance for somebody to pop up to see your content. Be aggressive about it. Let your counselors know, let your economic development officer know, let the media know, let everybody know that you feel is of influence or interest in your community. Let them know that you've got a hashtag and you've got content coming out all season and that they should be watching for it. We've actually gotten to the point now here at Seekers where we'll work on campaigns. We'll actually send native content, meaning like we'll send a bundle of photos or a bundle of video off to other media partners. We'll send it off to Destination BC. We'll send it off to Travel Alberta. And we'll say, hey, no big deal. Here's a Dropbox folder full of images and some video about us. Have at it. Use it. Because they're struggling for content just as much as you are. And if you've got a content strategy and you've got some pieces of stuff to share, then share it. Send it out to your media. Send it out to your community centers. Send it out to your counselors and those folks that have social media presence, because they need content too. So video, no secret, video continues to grow, and certainly Steph from Baldy saw some pretty exciting opportunities from that. So think about a Facebook Live approach, every other once a week, reporting what your grooming is looking like, your snow conditions, events, what's happening. The media list, as we've talked about, keep feeding that media throughout the season, content that makes it easy for them to share your story. And here's a couple of fails at Baldy. One thing that they really had a big challenge with is that they had limited assets. So they weren't investing, and they didn't have a lot of video. They didn't have a lot of photos. And so how do you create the social chatter if you don't have that content? Well, we've got some ideas for you in a couple seconds here on how to continue to get that content. They found a real challenge this season in engaging their staff to generate social media. So finding those people on the hill that would ultimately create video and photos was a challenge. So what I suggest and what we recommend is squirreling away some surprise and delights this season. We all get goggles and gloves, and obviously we've got lift tickets and tubing passes and gift certificates for free lunches and different things. So give yourself a little bit of a budget this year and squirrel some of that stuff away to have some surprise and delights for the season. Then you can start to reward your team. If your staff really starts to kill it, and you give somebody a task and you delegate them, and you're saying, like, every Tuesday we want you to put a travel tip together on a destination profile, or every travel Tuesday, maybe they've got a GoPro idea where they're taking people down a run, and each week you showcase a new run, and it's a quick 10-second or 20-second video just showcasing that one run. Maybe it's the fact that you've got some Throwback Thursday, and that team member wants to go and curate a bunch of content from the museum or some local archives that showcases your history of your ski resort. And if you can provide them with some gift certificate, buy them lunch, or again, have some lift ticket giveaways so they can give some to their friends, or give them a new set of goggles, or whatever it might be. Just have yourself a bit of a surprise and a delight budget. So in terms of resources, there's lots of them. And just back over to you, Cynthia, as we wrap this up, just speak to some of the opportunities that folks have to connect with the association and or resources in some other ways.
Yeah, and before I do that, I just want to back on your last point is, I know that a lot of people on the phone are not going to have a marketing department, and so, but there's a lot of people with talent in your, perhaps a lifty, somebody from the restaurant, somebody from your operations team. So, as I talk to people, I hear, hey, we've had this guy working for us for 7 years, and then we found out that he has a hobby of creating video, and he's an amazing videographer, and we had no budget to create videos. So this year, we're allocating X number of hours per week for him to go out and capture video of our ski hill. How amazing is that, right? When you find that talent within, and no longer are you going to have to pay several $1,000s every time you want a video done. And you can reward that staff member, in doing something he loves. So just think about some of those opportunities as well. So resources, all ski areas matter. I'm not sure if many people have heard of this. I did put something in our newsletter, Canada West newsletter, last week. We have great talent within the ski industry, and we're really lucky to work with Selkirk College, and they have graduates that come from the program and are really engaged in the sport and the community, and really want to see successes. So some of the students, led by Arena, have created a program called All Ski Areas Matter. They have created some templates for posters, for digital ads, print ads, that sort of thing. And essentially, it's free, but they're just going to charge $5 for you to customize it. So what they will do is you send them your logo, you send them exactly what you want on it, your colors, anything, and then they'll create that poster or that digital ad for you. And there's lots of different kind of themes that they have within their website. So I will send out that link as well, or contact me if you're looking for more information to All Ski Areas Matter. We also, within many of the programs, like Never Ever Days last year, had canned messaging. So as Jim was mentioning, you have the opportunity to do that for community partners that you work with, is give them the photos and give them the message that you want them to share. So we've also made it easy for you and created messaging for whatever every day. So, you know, sample Facebook posts and Twitter posts and images that you can put along with that. Go Ski Alberta will also have that available this year with printable posters, digital sample digital posts and whatnot for you to just take and use on your channels. This was mentioned earlier, but developing your own library of assets. So, you know, plan ahead. Think about what that experience that you want at your ski area, what your focuses are, what demographics you're going after, and make sure you take lots of photos and videos of those individuals. And think about some of the core requirements that you'll need. They should probably be wearing a helmet if they're a child. So make sure that you're taking photos of those core attributes that you want. If your brand is really about showing happy, smiling faces, then capture those moments so that you have pieces to use throughout the year and for your planning again next year. Your spokespeople, you know, get those people equipped to understand. Where are we going, Jim?
Sorry about that.
And we've already spoken a lot about community partners, media influencers, getting content and promotion to them and from them, and trading with partners and potential sponsors. Grants and funding, again, the Google Grants opportunity, community grants. This is the community grants again, is something, especially if you're doing a program on accessibility, like bringing new Canadians in or bringing disadvantaged youth in, that sort of thing. There are usually grants in your community to help you offer those programs. So look within your communities, ask around, share with me opportunities that you find, and we can help other ski areas get those opportunities as well. And then, you know, we're all here to help each other. So Canada West, the Canadian Ski Council, your tourism partners, your provincial sport organizations, other ski areas, you know, don't be afraid to ask. There often is an answer or an idea or somebody's had the problem or before. So, you know, we're all here to help each other.
Nice one. And just real quick, folks, we're just summarizing here. Thanks, Cynthia, for that. As mentioned earlier, Hootsuite is an amazing resource. For those of you that are not on Hootsuite, we definitely encourage you to get on it. It will help create a lot of more, it will streamline your process around social media. You can further your education. There's a code here to get certified. They do have a social media or a digital media certification course that you can take. It's about $300. But here's a 50% off code that you can use, the Seekers AMB 217SM. And by using that code at time of checkout, you can get your certification at 50% off. Now, this is obviously going to give you insights in terms of how to be a better Facebooker or how to do more with Twitter to draw more leads and more links. So we highly encourage you in which to take a look at the Hootsuite education platform and or just look at getting on Hootsuite, period. So just to wrap up and just to kind of give an idea. So in terms of these top threes, you know, it's about taking stock. It's about collaborating and empowering and sustaining. So when we take a look and we think about this taking stock, it's the example of a content, you know, what is your current content library? And then you have to have a realistic conversation with yourself in terms of what can you do as a ski hill? What can you commit to? And make that commitment. You know, is it about empowering somebody from your rentals or from your food or from an instructor to do a weekly Facebook Live event? Is it you that can commit to doing that? Every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m., you're going to do a shout out that's going to talk about your events upcoming. They're going to talk about the snow conditions and what have you. Is an example of, you know, a daily snow conditions effort. Are you going to put a garden gnome on the table as you see at some other resorts or destinations? And we, as you know, an audience, can follow along as the gnome gets covered through the season. That stuff's cool. We love that stuff. It's fun. It's easy. And then it's just about making sure that you're going to go out every day, or someone's going to be designated within your organization every day to capture a shot of that gnome or of that mascot and have that covered. Is there characters you can profile? What events are upcoming? Don't just put out one post about it. You know, you have to have a series of posts because you've got lots going on with that event. So it gives you lots of conversation to have. And then, you know, including a social media budget within Hootsuite, they'll teach you about how to maximize Facebook posts and how to make the most, you know, the most effect with a Facebook boost. And then maybe it's again, taking stock and devising that content plan with a calendar. What is it that makes your destination unique? Why are you guys special? Tell us. What is it? Is it staff, unique terrain, all that good stuff? Well, the collaboration and empowering. So understanding that we can't all do this ourselves and that we need help. So how do we generate content that is to a plan? So again, we've talked lots of this at length today in terms of, is it from your team, seasons pass holders, various community connections? Throw out some team challenges this season. Have fun with it. I mean, you can put your rentals, the rental squad versus the food squad, or your instructors versus your admin staff or your team, and have something like a contest for who can build the fastest snowman, or what's the most creative snow report that these guys can do. Have them hold up phones to each other and put out funny little videos and see what comes out of that. It's really about just testing and experimenting and playing and having some fun. As we wrap this up for the last 2 minutes here, and it's obviously about sustaining. So how do you keep this going? So there's this great thing that we're all entering into with the fall build up to the season, and obviously the post-season nostalgia of what was. But again, how do we keep this moving throughout the season so that we're active and really exciting on our channels with lots of cool content and or connections? So make sure that you're making those invitations to media, as we've talked, the town councillor invitations, the surprise and delight budget for your contributors, setting up that selfie booth and having that hashtag and promoting it are all ways in order to continue that conversation with your audience, continue to encourage them to generate content on your behalf, and also to keep engaged within the community. So that's it. That's the wrap up. We do have a few minutes for those that have a couple of questions. So that's what we have for you today, and certainly appreciate your listening, and hopefully there was some value out of what you've heard. So thank you very much, and let's open it up for any questions or comments, please.
And Jim, I'll just want to say thanks, Jim, for working together with us as an industry. We've got a great partnership that we're all trying to work together. And like I said, skiers and snowboarders, that's our focus. So please, I also want to, if you have any ideas, any thoughts, you want to share, any questions, I'm Cynthia, marketing@cwsa.org. And love to keep this conversation going beyond today as well. So looking forward to connecting with everyone. Any questions, or you want to share anything? Does anyone have
Go ahead, Cynthia.
Does anybody have anything that they want to share that has really worked well for them in their lead up to the season?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
This is Conrad. I'm from Tabor Mountain up in Prince George.
Hey, Conrad.
Hey, one of the things that's been working really well for us is every day I go out and I shoot a video that I post to Facebook about just our current conditions. And people really seem to like the video a lot. Our normal posts to Facebook or the webpage will get 60 or 70 hits. As soon as I started posting videos, we were up into the hundreds and sometimes even thousands, depending on the day.
Nice one.
Really well. And all I do is just a quick little video, 30 seconds, and just talk to people.
And is that you hosting it, or have you empowered someone from your team to delegate that, or how do you actually get the content done, and how do you keep the sustaining factor in terms of making sure that it's done every week on X day? And then, because then you start to build the audience where they're like, hey, we're waiting for that video. So how do you make sure that you're going to be able to sustain it, or how did you make sure that you're able to sustain it?
I do it myself.
Okay.
I just use the selfie camera on my phone and hold it out in front of me. Sometimes I use a selfie stick. I've also tried to get some of my staff out there to be in the videos as well, either with me or by themselves. However, since we're a small hill, it's difficult to keep other people motivated to get stuff done. Like your idea about giving staff a reason to go out and shoot stuff. I bought a camera to just leave there. Any staff wanted to, they could go out and take pictures with it. The camera ended up going missing, but we did 2 or 3 pictures over a week, and I just found it easier for myself to go out and do some of this stuff.
So you could even take that concept, Conrad, and incentivizing the team, and then throwing up a grand prize and saying, hey, on the 21st of April or whatever the deal is at the end of the season, if someone's taken photos or video and shared them with us and that thing goes crazy, whoever has like the most engagement, you'll be able to do this through your insights through Facebook or through Twitter. Yeah. You can send us a note. We can help you with this, but whoever gets the most engagement or their post goes the furthest, they win X incentive. And maybe it's $200. Maybe it's a free dinner out in town, or maybe it's something else. Like, it doesn't have to be some crazy $4,000 prize. Like, it just makes it fun for the team, and then everyone's starting to work collaboratively and helping to generate content for you. So that's a good one. Thanks for sharing.
Okay. I do have one further question though.
Go ahead.
For the hashtag, what was it? Ski North BC.
Mm-hmm.
Since we're Northern Hill, is it okay for us to be using this? Is this just a hashtag that you guys are throwing out there, or are you guys using it specifically for you?
Yeah, I mean, you and I should obviously have a conversation specific to Ski North, and certainly we want to encourage people to use that tag across the North and across the province. Certainly in terms of, Cynthia's introduction around the collaboration and working as industry, just like those partners who are on the line from Alberta, she and the rest of the Canada West and or us at Seekers and or otherwise, we'll be using and encouraging people to use hashtag GoSkiAB. Just as much as we encourage those in Alberta to use that hashtag Explore Alberta. Because again, it's about the opportunity that exists between us all, because even though if your neighbor is 2 hours down the road or 6 hours down the road for that matter, if they push out a great little video about this little girl's journey and learning to ski, or has an awesome update or a great snowfall or a great shot, there's no reason you can't share that on your own site. Like, yeah, fair enough. We're competitors in the terms of, like, obviously competing to drive value or business to each of our communities, but at the same point, together we win in terms of the promotion of the sport. So again, using that tag and starting to see, as we have with lots of different people using it outside of just the quote unquote marketing campaign, that's the real value of hashtag marketing, and that's where it starts to get pretty exciting, because you do have lots of content to play with. And does that make sense, Conrad? Maybe he had to go.
That makes perfect sense.
Okay.
I just turned my mic off so that I wasn't interrupting.
No problem. Well, thank you so much for your time and energy towards this presentation today. Again, it's Jim from Seekers. So you can reach me if you have any questions or comments, jim@seekers-media.com. Cynthia, again, your email address is?
marketing@cwsaa.org, and I will be posting on the cwsaa.org website under the members only section. So you'll need a login to get in there, and I can help you with that if you don't. This presentation and some other links. So thank you everybody for coming today, and we hope that you took a few tidbits away that you'll incorporate into this year's program.
Right on. We'll be watching, and please, at Snow Seekers, keep us informed on what you're up to. Send us your updates. Make sure that we're on your press release outlines. Make sure that Cynthia's being informed in the programming that's working for you, and things that maybe aren't even working for you, so that again, she can do what she's doing in terms of working from a 30,000-foot level to ensure the success of the sport, but also to bring each of you value in terms of your commitment with the Canada West Ski Areas Association. Cynthia and the team there, Christopher, they're doing a heck of a job, and they're doing some great things. And if you haven't been paying attention, or as much as you could be, then here's your opportunity to really engage and get on it, because as a collective we'll win. So thanks again, everyone, for the time. We'll see you on the slopes this season, and make sure you use those hashtags and or the opportunities to keep sharing your stories, because there's lots of Loises and Brooks and otherwise that are out there looking to get in on what you have to experience. So thanks again, and here's to a great season. Bye now.
Hope to see many of you guys at our fall meetings too.
Oh yeah, just a quick plug for those fall meetings. Make sure you're looking in your inbox, and we'll see you at those as well.
Great.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for all your time. Bye everyone.